Well, welcome, gentlemen. Today, Go Long Studios would like to welcome the man, the myth, the legend, Tim Soika, the team. See Tim Sell, William, welcome. Happy to have you. It's great.
Honored to be here.
Looking forward to a good education on, we were talking about the market earlier. You and I met a long time ago. I was in the commercial real estate space on the technology side, and I got a phone call, and they said, "Hey, Kevin, it's out in Katy. Give this guy a buzz. I think he wants to meet in person." And I've always thought that's the way to do business as well. I got on the phone with you, and you gave me every opportunity to do it tomorrow because I love the way you're wired, man. I went out there on my way home, and I think I hung out in your office till like 6:30 that night. And we just nerded out about real estate, what the technology can do. You were new into the space, but you had bought and owner occupied your space.
Yes.
And you had a tenant below, and you were like, dude, this is a no-brainer. But this guy, within months, you had like 30 commercial listings. And I mean, it's just so fun to watch you just grow and evolve into this space. All the while, nurture a team of agents on the residential side and not lose any steam there. So, man, thank you for coming.
Honored to be here.
And it's cool that you've got somebody that's willing to take a look at the team. And one thing I can say is you want a mentor. That's your guy. But today, let's talk about all things real estate, commercial or residential. But let's hone in on the geography. Katy, what makes it so great, man? I love it. You love it. He lived here. He grew up here. Let's talk about it.
Katy's really unique, and people ask me what makes Katy so special, and a lot of people focus on the schools, which Katy does have the best marketed school district I've ever seen. They're a great school district, but they're also very well marketed. That whole K+Y thing is genius. But that's not it. The thing that makes Katy special is it's the most competitive place you can live in the Houston area, especially for your kids.
Okay.
There's some school districts. I grew up, if I wanted to be on the football team, I showed up and I was on the football team.
You had a spot on the team.
Right. And
not in Katy.
I didn't have to work really hard to be in the top 20 in my school.
That's a good point. Yeah.
And Katy, if you're in the top 5 or 10% of a lot of Katy schools, you have a shot at Ivy League.
Absolutely. Wow.
No school district pushes you harder in grades. My daughter played basketball in Katy. She started playing when she was 5 years old to have a shot.
Wow.
A shot to make the team. You don't just show up. You don't just get to play. And it's not just sports, and it's not just education.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to be in a play in Katy,
you
better practice. You better know your lines before you get there. Everything is competitive.
I like that.
And I love, it's not for everybody.
Sure.
If you want a more relaxed lifestyle, Katy may not be for you.
Mm-hmm.
Katy is fast-paced. It's going to push you. It's high pressure. But if you want a school district that's going to give your kid the best chance to be on the rowing team at Stanford, or the best chance to excel at Harvard, or the best chance to reach their goals, no school district, no city pushes you harder than Katy. I even joke this with the parents too. If you haven't been to a party in Katy, everybody goes all out. It's nuts here. So the best part about Katy and the worst part is it's so competitive.
Yeah.
And if you want that for you and your family and your kids, there's no place better to live in the Houston Metroplex.
I've never looked at it like that, but maybe that's why I love it.
Yeah, you're spot on that one.
That is why I love it. So, let's compare. So you're going to be working in the market in the Woodlands Spring area.
Yeah.
What are the similarities and what are the differences?
Thanks for having me on. Yeah. So I'm born and raised in Katy, so Katy's like my own backyard.
Yeah, sure.
But I did want a change of scenery growing up, having a family. So I moved up north to the Woodlands, which is another great suburb of Houston.
Yeah.
I would probably rank it in the top 3 suburbs of Houston. But one of the biggest things that drew me personally, and I think what draws a lot of the people that are deciding between one and the other, is going to be the physical geography of it. You're going to have, a lot more uh, taller trees, pine trees. You're going to have lakes. It's a more relaxed living, like you mentioned before, right? It's a lot more relaxed, a lot more vacational type feel.
Okay.
And that's kind of what I was gravitated towards when I went.
Yeah, and you notice, I mean, in the similarities that I could say is zoning, right? And we'll touch on that.
And master plan communities. Both of those cities are driven by master plan communities. Absolutely. I mean, the Woodlands is literally driven by the Woodlands is the master plan community, but Katy is the king of master plan communities along with the Woodlands. And you could argue Sugar Land too.
Sure.
The master plan community is the most important thing that ever happened to West Side real estate.
I agree.
Getting that master plan, getting it right. Cinco Ranch was one of the first to really get the formula right. It's kind of like with weight loss, or getting in shape. There's a certain point in your life where you get the formula just right.
Yep.
And you get exactly where you want to be, and then the formula is a little off. Like Cinco Ranch taught all these other master plan communities the formula to get it right.
Yeah.
Katy, the Woodlands, Sugar Land, Fulshire. It's like they have this great template that was created 30 years ago now.
Yeah.
And they're all doing it again and again.
Was it 30 years ago?
And they're doing it. It was 40 if you want to be technical. Like Cinco Ranch was in the 80s.
Really?
The first homes were selling in Cinco Ranch in 84. By the way, before I was in real estate, for any of you. But the thing about getting that master plan community right, that means you get the schools right. It means you get the shopping right around it.
Yep.
The thing I love best about all these communities, the Woodlands, the Sugarlands of the world, the Katys of the world, you don't have to go into Houston for anything, except for maybe the theater district, maybe the museum district. But we have great hospitals here.
One-stop shop.
We have great things here. We have high-end Target here. We have about everything you can need in these communities now. I think people forget is the Katy School District, and I bet the Woodland School District, are both bigger than the Cleveland School District.
Cleveland, Ohio?
Cleveland, Ohio.
That doesn't surprise me.
Right. Or actually, I think it's Cincinnati. I think they're both bigger than the Cincinnati School District because the Cincinnati School District is all the suburbs around it, right?
Yeah.
So the most interesting thing, Katy and the Woodlands, I think, are both bigger than the Cincinnati School District.
Yeah.
And more efficient.
Oh, 100%. When as you were talking, I was just kind of like having a realization. It's almost like when they were designing it, it's like these arteries, right? I mean, they're, because when you go through, like, say, some of the newer ones, not like Cinco, which is established, but like a Cross Creek. If I'm driving from my home, which is like over near Firethorn, I can go all the way to Cross Creek without hitting a stoplight, but there's no traffic because the flow's there. But you notice as you go through, you're going to encounter these little arteries, these little bleeds of necessary businesses and daycares. But then you start to see everything about it kind of flourish and grow, sprout, if you will, of as population increases, we need more of this. And you see it. And I don't think that there's anyone averse to trying it out here, because it's going to get supported, right? So in that, I mean, I'd love to talk kind of, coming from residential and being like the subject matter expert you are in delving in with commercial, like, what do you have to kind of offer as far as insight for, say, a business wanting to come out here or a developer wanting to come out here on the commercial side?
So several years ago, my daughter said, and I love this, she was asked, second grade maybe, what does your dad do for a living? So what does your father do? And my daughter goes, I think my dad's just nice to people for a living. And I love that.
That's a great.
Yeah. I love that was her first thought.
She could have said a lot worse, right?
She could have said a lot worse. And she knows what I do. I mean, as she got older, but when she's younger, that was really her thought. And I think getting into the commercial space, I got into the commercial space because I did a transaction.
Yeah.
And then I realized that I had something that a lot of commercial agents didn't have. The willingness to pick up the phone and return phone calls a lot.
Exactly.
I don't mean that to sound harsh, but it's getting a commercial agent on the phone can be tougher. And the ones you can get on the phone, the Mark Lawsons of the world. That guy's incredible.
Yeah.
He picks up his phone.
Yeah.
Keith Caldwell, still one of the biggest agents out there, picks up his phone. So Keith Edwards, maybe. The major agents pick up their phones.
They do.
So I thought that would fit really well. But I think the main reason commercial worked for me is I could look across the table at someone who bought my own building, and I could say this to them. I bought a commercial building for this reason. I'm pretty good for my age. I'm 58. I ran 4 miles this morning. I'm in good shape for my age. But
So that's better than normal.
I
Yeah.
can't
Or
do
average.
this forever, right?
Sure.
But this building can
It
pay for my retirement. This money that I collect every month can pay for my retirement. It can pay for my grandkids' bar mitzvah, and I'm not Jewish.
Yeah.
It could be the reason that 3 generations from now, someone looks back at my wife and I and says, they're the reason you can go to Harvard. Don't you wish someone had done that for you?
Yeah.
And yeah, it's a sales pitch and it kills every time, but it doesn't change the
It's a
fact that it's
statement,
true.
in my opinion.
Yeah.
I understand what buying real estate, residentially or commercial, can do for you. Residentially, I would prefer to have something I can touch. If you haven't seen the
Tangible.
the Matthew McConaughey speech from the Matthew McConaughey
Wolves
speech,
of Wall Street.
Wolves of Wall Street.
Wolf of Wall Street.
If you haven't watched that and said, I need to buy more real estate, you should. But I just think real estate is one of the best things you can do for your family. I think it's one of the best things you can do. And believing in it so much is, I think, why, one, I did a pretty good job in residential for years. We sold almost 3,000 houses. But I think it's why we fit in commercial space really well, because I understand what this can do for people.
Well, and you have your personal touch, your approach. And like you said, you saw an opportunity. And one thing that I noticed when I was selling the technology on that side was just the lack of willingness to get in front of someone, shake the hand. And my father told me what you had said earlier. If you don't pick up the phone, they'll call someone who will, right?
100%.
Simple. And it's simple to see that. But as say, someone interested in investing in real estate, do you seek out like maybe a discipline of a property type or commercial, residential? What advice do you have to first timers looking to get into the real estate space?
Yeah, I mean, it really just depends on really where they're at in life.
Sure.
In terms of residential, if they're starting a family or if, this is their third purchase and they're really, comfortable with the process and either downscaling or upscaling, I would give different recommendations. But in general, I mean, like you said, you really can't lose in real estate. It's, I would say it's not a short-term game of 1 year over 1 year, right?
Sure,
but if you're holding on to your property for more than 3, 4, 5 years, you're not going to lose on that situation.
Of course not.
So
of course
I always recommend if you're in the space where you can, and you're in the position in your life where you need to start settling down and really start seeing the home as an investment, 100% go all in.
Yeah. Well, and think about it, is how does the government get more taxes out of you? They're going to have to increase your property value, right?
Right.
We know that's going to happen. So if you look at it, it's outperforming a bond. Always.
So real estate, everybody, I tell people, real estate is the best get rich slow strategy of all time.
Oh,
no,
100%.
I'm being deadly serious.
absolutely.
Like, there's a building my wife and I bought 20 years ago. We had a tenant that lived there 20 years. He paid it off for us.
Yeah.
We took $5,000 and turned it into $150,000.
Yeah.
And does it move as fast as some? No. And I love the question you asked earlier, and I loved your answer. Should you buy residential or commercial real estate? Yes. No, you should. Right. So
there you go.
I would start, and I think most of us start buying a investment home or two.
Absolutely.
Then I sold my 2 or 3 investment homes, and I bought my first commercial piece of property.
Gotcha.
And then I had a tenant that signed a 5-year lease versus a 1-year lease and doesn't call me every time the toilet stopped. And I'm like, I like commercial.
So you got a good cap rate sell right there.
But I think we all have to start somewhere. And I
Yes.
think every investment book you ever read, The Richest Man in Babylon.
I love that book.
I love that book. Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Same.
Cash Flow Quadrant. What every real estate investor should know about cash flow. Every book you read talks about, it's all about the math.
Yes.
Right? You have to know the math. And the math is someone else paying off something you own
Yes.
is the sexiest part of real estate. People get caught up in cash flow.
Yep.
People get caught up in appreciation, and that's great. People get caught up in tax avoidance. That's also great.
Mhm.
But the sexiest part of real estate is someone's in your building paying it off for you.
Yeah.
What's hotter than that?
There isn't. I mean, like you just said, looking at appreciation, you can't really kind of look at it through those optics. But if you're covering, your even if your cash flow basis is 0, but your taxes are paid, your mortgage is paid, you're basically sitting on an appreciating asset that's outperforming stabilized bond, right? I mean, it's wild. So the one thing I'd say, like, if as advice, getting into commercial versus residential, you've got those balloon payments, right? Where you look at that, and I think I'd love to hear your opinion on it. Is it a vehicle to get? Some people say it's a vehicle to engage and inject like commerce, and others say it's designed by the banks to get you to refinance, right? Others say it's a limitation of liability, so you're not sitting on a vacant property and you're going to go broke, not able to pay the mortgage.
So that's not exactly a fastball question. That's not or a softball. That's a fastball question. So I think
I'm from Katy. What do you expect?
I think I can knock the fastball out of the park. Here we go.
I love it.
Were balloon payments designed to benefit the bank? Absolutely.
Yes. Always designed to benefit the bank.
Yeah, everything is designed to benefit the bank. But balloon payments can really benefit you if you know how to play them. So step one, if interest rates are really high, get some kind of balloon payment where you buy down the interest rates in the beginning. And yes, your payment's going to go up. That's what they do. But your rent goes up too, baby.
Yeah.
So your rent's going up while they go up. Also, when the market hits a low, occasionally there are bank products. Chase had a bank product I wish I jumped on, 20-year AM. No balloon. 20-year amortization, 20-year term.
Ooh.
And everybody who was in the market should have jumped on that. Not everybody did, right?
Yeah.
So if you use these arms and the balloons to get into a commercial investment, does it benefit you? Yes, because someone else is still paying off your mortgage. Or if you own the building, you're paying off your mortgage versus somebody else's mortgage, which is the best. So don't use anything as an excuse not to get into real estate. So one of the smartest guys I know, Joe Rothschild, who is the godfather of real estate in Katy, right?
Yeah.
I wasn't going to buy a commercial building. And he goes, why aren't you going to buy it? And I said, well, there's all these additional payments. I have to buy coffee for my team. The office I'm at has coffee. I have to buy my own toilet paper. And he goes, I just want to hear for a second. I just want you to hear what you just said. You said you're not going to buy a commercial investment. And by the way, this guy owns like 12 strip centers.
Yeah.
You're not going to buy a commercial investment because of toilet paper. I just want to make sure I heard that right.
That's what I would have said that.
So if you want an excuse not to buy real estate, I can give you 1,000.
Sure.
If you want to be wealthy, buy real estate.
I think you overcomplicate it whenever you start thinking of commercial, and it makes more sense to a lot of people to get into residential side too. Right. But if you're willing to learn really the concepts of commercial and really what you were talking about, financing, I would say the potential is even greater, really, because you can slice commercial however you want, and just about anything, which you really can't do so much in residential.
And like you said, I mean, maybe it is because some people are just intimidated by it, right?
Yeah.
Well, there's so many segments of commercial. Like you can't say commercial real estate. Like you can't say I found something on the internet. Did you find it on Amazon? Did you find it on eBay? Commercial real estate is strip centers.
You've got retail, industrial, office. Right. You've got,
My specialty is offices. I'm great at offices.
Yeah.
If you want to call me to buy a church, I don't know how to do that.
Yeah.
And I would say the same thing to real estate agents getting into commercial. Pick your lane, be great at it. Don't try to do everything.
No, not at all.
As an investor, pick your lane, get great at it, stay in it. Don't try to do everything. I think that's key. But again, I want to go back to, I think buying residential real estate is how we all have to start. You can't just go out. Look, if your dad left you $5 million, which my dad unfortunately did not, or probably honestly, fortunately did not, you can't just go out and buy a strip center, right?
No.
But by the time I buy my first strip center, I'll know exactly how to do it because I've bought offices.
Yeah.
Right. So you have to start somewhere, and I think you start with houses. Wouldn't you agree?
That's perfect starting place.
Yeah.
And so how could you convince people maybe looking to go from, my biggest regret was when I was in Austin, I could have bought the house that I was in before I moved here, and I didn't. How is it to convince people? Because you just convinced me. I mean, obviously, you can overcome a lot of objections, but say they're moving or going to from Katy to the Woodlands.
Sure.
Give me a good example of why I should keep this property versus dump it into, my purchase over there.
I'll do you one better. I'll ask you a question. I'll ask you a question. Tell me one person that has ever lost any money or hasn't gained substantial money holding a property?
Yeah, I can't.
5, 7 years, 10 years time.
Sure.
Did you lose money, or did you make a substantial amount of money that you can use to then either buy another residential or maybe even, start getting into commercial because of it?
Yeah.
There's no other investment vehicle that can get you there, literally by not really, you can rent out the home that you're in Katy while you're in the Woodlands or any other suburb and just let it accrue. Because at the end of the day, I still haven't met one person who has lost money holding a property for, say, 10 years.
Yeah.
Now, selling it in a year or two, sure, you can lose money. But
Yes.
to his point,
It's not a short-term game.
Holding,
Yeah.
that's the important thing. So there's a story I want to tell because
Get rich slow, right?
yeah, get rich slow. Yeah, there's a story I want to tell because I think it's important. My wife and I own a home in Seattle that we bought in like 92, 93. We bought it for $140,000.
In Seattle.
In Seattle.
It was
a dump. It was
okay.
absolute dump. Right. We sold it, but we loved that house. It was one of our first houses.
Yeah.
So to us, it was special.
Sentimental,
But
yeah.
it was a dump. Right. And we sold the home a year and a half later for like $290,000. And we thought we were the smartest people in the world. We almost doubled our money because that's when Microsoft was at its boom. It was before Boeing relocated.
Yeah.
And we were like, we are and then Boeing moved out. We're like, we are the smartest people in the world. Then we took that money and bought our next house. And maybe we were, but if you look up that house today, this dump that we sold for $290,000,
A couple million.
$900,000.
Jesus.
Wow.
So if we had kept that house, we win. But we also use that to buy our next house and our next house.
It's
and
a
our next house.
win-win situation.
Right.
Yeah.
If we sold it, we won. We did because we
Yeah.
used it to buy our next house. I now have a house that has a very nice value that's completely paid for,
Sure.
partly because of that house. I own other real estate because I sold that house,
Yeah.
and I win. But if
Yeah.
I had kept it, I win. Real estate is the ultimate I win game.
I love it.
Absolutely. Couldn't
I
agree
love
more.
it. Well, man, I'm just so excited to continue the series with y'all. But William, great meeting you.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Look forward to my next Woodlands spring update. And Tim, I'm going to see you real soon, my man.
Peace out, brother.
Yes, sir. Y'all have a great day.
All right.
I was really nervous. Could you tell?